Hello, Brian Percival here, pleased to meet you. Now, if you've already seen one of these intros, they're all the same. Just go to the timestamp here to get to the content. You'll need to watch this once. All I'm doing briefly is just explaining what's going on. Now, I stopped doing videos about 2 or 3 years ago. Because a lot of stuff was going on and I basically just didn't have time. It was as simple as that. So what I've done is now that I'm going back to it, I'm consolidating everything onto one channel. So there's going to be one place for all the content I do. It's not going to be spread around everywhere anymore. So as anyone who's seen my stuff before knows that I love a jump cut. I love nothing better than a jump cut, basically because I can't be bothered editing properly. Especially when it's just the stuff like this. So I've decided that I'm just going to put everything under my own name now. Like, nothing's going to be by aliases or anything like that. And mostly I've got fed up with the Pickled Onion Night channel because, well, why go under an alias? It's like people that have still got like a name they invented when they were at school, like Peter 512 or something like that. Get over it. Just going by my own name. But mostly it's because when I started the Pickled Onion Night channel, I thought it was a really clever and cool Final Fantasy reference, and it turns out that everyone now thinks it's a Game of Thrones reference. So that's annoyed me. So that's why that's going. So yeah, everything's basically just going to be moved across to the one stream. So everything I do is going to be in the one place. So if you like my stuff, this is the place to come. If you don't like my stuff, go somewhere else. I don't know what to tell you. With that in mind, I'm recording this little intro to go over the top, to be edited into the older stuff that I've done. Some of it has to be redone. That's just the way it is. Stuff moves forward in a couple of years, and some of the things aren't how they used to be. But some of it is perfectly fine to re-upload here. So I'm just putting this bit in at the beginning so that it looks completely seamless. So what I'll do is, unfortunately, a lot of the older stuff is watermarked. So what I'll do is I'll put a little black bar that's going to rise up here now, and that'll just cover up the watermarks so that nobody gets directed to any of the old stuff anymore. And yeah, well, look forward to the content you haven't seen. A lot of it is older stuff. Like I say, there's new stuff coming. I'm editing loads of stuff at the moment. So yeah, look forward to see you in the future. Welcome to my walkthrough on Bully, or as it's called in Britain, or was called in Britain, Canis, Canem, Edit. So if you have this game, then this should apply to you. So I'm playing the PlayStation Network version. I downloaded onto the PlayStation 3. But this game originally came out on the PlayStation 2, and then was later on ported to the Wii and the Xbox 360, although their versions are actually called Bully, because when the game was first released on PlayStation 2, bullying was a bit of a political hot button in Britain, so they didn't call it that. They called it Canis, Canem, Edit, and then later on, when it was re-released on newer systems, obviously that wasn't an issue. Bullying had all gone by then, so we didn't worry about it. Yeah, so I'm playing on the PlayStation 3. This is from the PlayStation Network. I think it was about £7 or £8. But if you want to play it on the PlayStation 2, you can probably pick it up for about £3 or £4. Same with the Wii version, is about the same price. The Xbox 360 version, now that is a little bit more expensive, and I don't really know why, but it is. So be prepared to pay more if that's the platform you want to play it on. But this walkthrough should go for any of them versions. So it should work for all the versions of this game. I'll just say as a kick-off, I have actually recorded all the footage for this, and there is a couple of things I've missed out. So this unfortunately is not going to be 100% completion walkthrough, because there is some stuff I've missed and therefore can't get, but I will hopefully, I know what the things are that I've missed, so I'll be able to tell you when you're able to do them yourself if you're following this as a guide. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just do the first sort of run around missions, just to the ones that get you used to the controls. Basically, you have to do them first. And all I'm going to do first of all is do the pass all the classes that I can right away, because then I don't have to worry about doing the classes. So in chapter 1, that's chemistry, English, art and gym class. So I'll basically show you that, and the rewards for them are actually worth getting, so it's well worth passing them. So yeah, I'll just basically do that for the first 10 days of the game. Is the easiest way I've found to do it, and the rest of the time just spend the time picking locks in the locker room and in the school locker rooms, and in the locker room in the gym, to try and get some more stuff and some more clothes and things like that. Although, to be fair, a lot of the stuff you'll get out of lockers, by the time you've passed chemistry 4 and 5, you probably won't need most of the stuff that you can get, but it's well worth looking, because the more clothing items you get, the more money you save later on, when you do have to go for 100% completion. So that's basically what I'm going to do first off, is that, and then I'll go through some of the key missions in chapter 1. As I progress through. So all I'm going to do first of all is get the lessons, and what I'll do for the English lessons is I will show you the words I got. Now, you can go online and get a guide for these, but you know, there's no point, because it's here. I'm showing it to you now. So I'll show you the words I got for the English lessons. That's the one people often get stuck with. And basically all the rest of the stuff's straightforward. The chemistry lessons are just button combinations. The art lesson is it's a version of, I think it's called Quicks or something like that, arcade game. It's basically a version of that, and the gym is just wrestling moves and some dodgeball, which is pretty simple to do. So yeah, that's all I'm going to do basically for the first 10 days, is just do the lessons and then pick lockers the rest of the time. So basically all I'm going to do is I can do all the missions up to the candidate mission. So that means I get the slingshot, and also by the time I go to do some of the later missions in chapter 1, I've got the full chemistry set that I can use all day and things like that. So that's basically why I'm doing it this way. And you can do the missions in between the passing the lessons, but I personally wouldn't go above the candidate mission, because basically you want to get quite a lot of stuff done before you do that mission, because it just makes everything from then on a little bit more straightforward, and also gives you more time. So as soon as you finish the candidate mission, you'll notice that the clock has now disappeared and the Halloween decorations have all gone up. Now, the first thing to do here, the very first thing, is to destroy all the tombstones you find around the school before you do any more missions. Don't go and start the Halloween mission, just go round and find all the tombstones, and there's a counter that comes up that tells you how many you've destroyed. So if you do that now, you won't have to destroy them. The next opportunity you've got after this to destroy them all and get, I think it's the Edna mask you get, you don't get until chapter 5, so quite late in the game. So go around and do it now while there's plenty of time, the clock isn't ticking, and you can get around and find them all. So that would be my tip for this bit. And then once you've got all the tombstones, they're basically lying around outside the entrances to buildings and around the main school building, so they're all quite easy to find. There's a couple outside the boys' dorm and a couple outside the girls' dorm, although do bear in mind if you're spotted destroying any of them, the prefects will still chase you. But yeah, make sure you get them all, otherwise you can't get them until chapter 5. So yeah. So once you start the Halloween mission, you'll notice that a lot of pumpkins have started to appear around the school grounds. Now, you have to destroy all of these as well. However, that's not so important because they will turn up in the next couple of missions' time, and you can destroy them all then. But if you are going to destroy them during Halloween, bearing in mind there's still no clock, so but you must destroy them all before you pull the 5th prank, because once the big prank mission turns up, the clock will begin again, and you've only got a certain amount of time to do the mission and destroy the pumpkins. So you're better off destroying the pumpkins as soon as the Halloween mission starts. But like I say, this isn't like the tombstones. You don't have to, because they will turn up again soon, and you can destroy them all in the one hit. So that makes things slightly more straightforward, and you get a pumpkin mask for doing it. So yeah, it's basically Halloween is just do the pranks, and then you've got the big prank mission. So yeah, which is quite funny. So to finish off chapter 1, after Halloween, we're going to do the character sheets mission first, and then do the Help Gary mission. And during the Help Gary mission, there's a scene where you'll be in the basement, in the boiler room, and that's where all the pumpkins that you didn't get on Halloween will be. So you can smash them all then. And even then, if you don't manage to find them all for some reason on this mission, you will get access to the basement later on, I think in chapter 2, and they'll be there then as well, so you can smash them then. And basically, spoiler alert, but then if you're watching a walkthrough, that should be obvious that there's going to be spoilers. You're going to have a fight with Russell. Now, it helps if you've still got your double health that you should have from doing the That Bitch mission a little while back. If not, you can find one of the girls and kiss them in order to get double health, because that's going to be really handy. Well, basically that's a general rule anyway. Try and make sure you're constantly at double health, and all of the missions should be pretty easy throughout the game, to be perfectly honest. But that double health really does help a lot on some of the later missions of every chapter. So there's another top tip, and yeah, so that will take us to the end of chapter 1. So chapter 2, we've got 2 new classes have turned up that are on the, what was a 2-day rotation for lessons is now a 3-day rotation. We've got 2 new classes turned up, one of which is the shop class, which as you complete them you will get access to better and better BMX bikes. The other one is the photography class, but the photography class doesn't open until a certain point in chapter 2. So what we want to do for the first 2 days, we don't need to go to any of the other lessons because we've already passed all them presumably. and you want to get to the point where you can do the photography class, basically. So that means you have to play through chapter 2 to a certain point. So spend the first 2 days playing through and completing the Hattrick versus Galloway mission, and that will get you the camera so that you can do the photography class. Now, hopefully you can get this done in the first 2 days. Now, on this playthrough I actually didn't manage that because I forgot that you needed to do that in order to get the camera. But yeah, don't make that mistake. There should be plenty of time in the first 2 days if you avoid the side missions and just do the cook missions and things like that to get the Hattrick versus Galloway, and then when you finish that mission you will have the digital camera, or the standard black and white camera, I think it is. And then so that will then give you access to photography class, so you can do that on the 3rd day. On the 3rd day, shop classes in the morning, photography classes in the afternoon. So that's the way to do it, really. So also you may notice in chapter 2 that we've got 2 new areas opened up and a chance to get a new not dorm room, what would you call it? Basically a new safe house, save area, whatever. So you can go and do the prep challenge. Now, this means you have to be reasonably skilled at boxing, and again, that double health will help. It's quite simple, really. It's block when they're hitting you, and when they stop hitting you, just punch until they start to block, and then you block because they're going to hit you, although it is quite handy to dodge as well. It's quite easy to pick up. It's actually more difficult for me to explain how to do it than to just do it, because it's reasonably easy. But that will get you a new, I suppose it's a clubhouse they call it, is it? I don't know. Anyway, that'll get you somewhere else to stay. Now, although you can go and do the carnival stuff in chapter 2, I would generally advise against that, because later on in chapter 3 you can get a double ticket bonus, and that will mean you get double the amount of prize tickets at the carnival. One thing I would suggest though is getting the doing all the go-kart races, because then that will unlock the go-kart street races, which are not essential exactly, but quite a lot of fun, and later on you can then actually own the go-kart, which is really handy, although not particularly handy until chapter 5, to be perfectly honest, because you can't own it until then. But the way I generally do it is I will do all the missions up to the movie tickets mission, and then once you've done that, that will then unlock the carnival date mission, which you can attempt, I think, from 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So basically you take Pinky on a carnival date, win her a teddy bear, which means you have to play the game 5 times. Now the one I normally do is the hammer swing, because that gives you 3 tickets as a prize, although later on 6 tickets when you have double prizes from the photography class. So yeah, play that 4 times, and that's basically just mash the X button. There's no skill involved, and it doesn't take very much time, so that's generally the way that I win carnival tickets. So when the day ends, You can go round the corner from the prize tent on your own and do the go-kart races. Now these are $1 each, so you're going to need at least $5, but there should be enough time left in the day for you to finish first in all 5 races. They're relatively easy, and basically the first track, the first lap you'll be able to learn the track, and they are really quite easy, but winning 5 of these will unlock the go-kart street races around in different areas, and you definitely want to do that.
Oh, Jimmy.
And then you've only had to pay to get in the carnival once, so it's not an amazing money saving tip, but it is really useful and helpful, and yeah.
What's wrong? Well, for one
the next one you want to do is the Race the Veil mission that turns up at the boys' dorm, and this will then unlock all the cycling races, which again are useful. Now, the best, what basically happens is when you start the mission, the bike that's nearest to you is the one you have. So if you start the mission after just jumping off a bike, that bike you were on is the one you'll have during the mission. Now, the best one I've found early game is actually the racing bike, not any of the BMXs, but the racing bike that you can normally find outside the bike shop in Bulworth Town, not Bulworth Town, Old Bulworth Vale, and using that bike, it's generally quite easy to win all the cycle races, because it's basically built for speed. Now, it does mean that if there's any sharp corners, you might come a little bit unstuck because the handling isn't that great, but the bike is built for speed, so even if you do come off, it should be very easy to make up, get back into the lead if you do come off. So yeah, really useful tip that. Now, tell a lie, the Race the Veil only is one mission, and then you have to do the Beach Rumble mission in order to get the all the bike races unlocked. But that's reasonably straightforward. All you have to do is beat up a couple of preppies once you chase them down, and you've got one of the greaser clique there to help you do it as well. So yeah, really useful. And then what I generally do once they're unlocked is go and do all the races. I think there's 7 of them in Old Bulworth Vale that you can do at the moment, and yeah, just go through and win all of them. There are 4 more bike races that open up in Bulworth Town, so do make sure to do them as well. Now, a couple of things you can do in chapters. Oh, one thing I should mention is you can only actually do the first 2 photography classes. You can't pass all 5, you can only do the first 2 in chapter 2. You can the next 3 don't open up until chapter 3, so don't worry if you're waiting for photography class to pop up and it doesn't. You can only do the first 2 anyway in chapter 2. The other thing that you can do, there is a mission someone will give you on the beach that says to explore a pirate ship. Now, go and do that, and when you do get to the pirate ship, get the Grottos and Gremlins card that's on it as well. But if you then head up and to the right slightly, you'll see a small beach, and there's a pirate or somebody in a pirate's uniform dressed there. So if you beat him up until you knock him out, then you will get a snazzy pirate's hat to wear if you want to. So that's just a little secret there. And I think if you walk up a bit, there's an elastic band there too, which you want to collect. So yeah, that's And then the only things left to do after that in chapter 2 is do some errands if you want to, and then head to the finish off all the missions. And again, it helps to have double health, and you're going to have to box at the Preppies Club again, but you're going to have to box against Biff, who is the toughest one of the lot to box, and then there is going to be a big fight between all the Preppies, and then finally Darby. The best way to beat him is to basically use the slingshot, because he does hit quite hard when he gets close to you. Or you can use, I think there's cricket bats on the wall. Oh no, that's for the normal Preppies. I don't think you can do that with Darby, but generally speaking, I would use the slingshot, because if he gets close and manages to knock you down, it takes a while for you to get back up, and it's just really irritating. So yeah, that will be the end of chapter 2, and you'll be in charge of the Preppy clique. Chapter 3, and it's winter time. So the first thing you probably want to do is do the 2 missions that turn up. So one will be the Nerd's Hideout, which means you've got to get the high score on the Consumo game, which is actually one of the easiest games to do, as long as you pay attention to what's going on and just kind of stay in the middle. And then you can, after you've done that, you can go and do the Panty Raid mission. Just remember on your way out of the girls' dorm that you have to climb down, because if you fall out of that window that you came in, you will fail the mission. So when you wake up the next day, you should notice that the clock has disappeared again. So this means, provided you don't start the next mission, you've got plenty of time to do things. So what I normally do is go around and pick some lockers, hopefully get some new clothes to wear. And there are 2 missable things in this chapter that I'm sorry to say that I forgot about and have missed. Number 1 is you have to start 3 snowball fights for 100% completion. Number 2, at some point in this chapter, you have to get 3 lots of the snow shoveling detention, which I forgot to do on this playthrough. Basically, this is the only missable thing in this chapter, and what this means is you have to get busted twice outside of class time. So generally that means in the evenings, and you will get and also within school grounds, because if you're outside of school grounds you won't get the detention, you'll just get taken to the police station. So you have to do it within school grounds and do 3 lots of the snow shoveling detention for 100% completion of the game. So there are plenty of missions to do on your way, because basically you're going to be doing the last 3 photography classes during this chapter, and there are plenty of missions to do while you're waiting around, and plenty of side quests as well. New Coventry's opened up, and there's bike races opened up there, but hold off from them a minute and I will explain why. So when you've passed the 5th photography class, you'll notice that one of the things you win is double prize tickets at the carnival. So this means you can now, it's much easier to get the scooter, or it's half the price to get the scooter. Basically you need 70 tickets, so that means I'm going to go back to the hammer, the strengthometer hammer thing, and win 6 tickets each time. So that means basically I have to play it a dozen times, although probably only 11 times, because I should have the tickets from the 5 Grand Prix races that I won. So yeah, that's handy, and that gives me the scooter. Now You do need to make sure you're wearing some sort of helmet when you're driving the scooter, otherwise you will get followed by the police and the prefects. But you can always change into that at your wardrobe or wherever it is you go. And this is really handy because this counts as a bike. So if you've just hopped off the scooter in order to do a bike race, you can stay on the scooter to do the bike race. Now, the advantage with this is that it has a constant speed and you don't have to keep mashing the X button. The disadvantage is that if you come off, there's no way to increase your speed. So if you come off and the opponents end up far enough ahead of you, you won't be able to catch them up by mashing the X button. It doesn't work like that on the scooter, but as long as you don't come off, you should be able to easily cheat your way, I suppose, to winning every bike race, which is good. So basically chapter 3 is a relatively straightforward chapter, and there's enough missions to keep you going between finishing your art classes and then hopefully obtaining the scooter. I wouldn't go past the tenements mission until you've done that though, and again make sure you've done the snowball fighting 3 times and 3 lots of snow shovel in detention, and it shouldn't cause you any problems. It's quite quick, quite straightforward, and the only difficult mission really is the tenements one, and that's easily completed by using the slingshot. It's not a real problem as long as you keep away from the sledgehammer and use the slingshot. You shouldn't have any real problems.
Don't mess with me now.
Chapter 4, and there's not much that can be missed.
I may be a loser, but at least I've got
This is another short chapter, just a story one really. The first mission, the Stronghold mission, is probably the most difficult mission on the chapter, and basically it's quite straightforward until you actually get to the observatory, and all you have to do basically is go between the timings of Ernest's spud gun blasts, and shoot the power things out, and then once you're on the spud gun, you shoot down the doors, but beware of the nerds that turn up in the windows, because they will try and knock you off the spud gun, and obviously if you do that you have to start all over again. And then when you get to inside the observatory, you need to use the catapult to shoot the I suppose the gantry that Ernest is standing on. And you have to do this 3 times while avoiding the timed attacks. Now the most difficult one is when he starts throwing the firecrackers, so you do have to keep your wits about you, but again double health will help at this point, as with all of these types of things. The next one is to get the Jocks Clubhouse, which is pretty straightforward. You've just got to beat them in a dodgeball match, and you've done that a few times already by now, so I mean that's nice and easy. So probably the next most difficult bit in chapter 4 is the mascot mission, where you actually have to go to the football field and beat up the mascot effectively, but there is an easy way to do it, and if you remember back to chapter 1, there's a tree you can sit on that overlooks the football field. Now all you have to do basically is keep hitting the mascot with the slingshot, and this mission is an absolute breeze. But if you try to take on the mascot head on, then you'll find that the jocks will just come and beat you up, and you probably won't survive even with double health unless you're very, very good. But bearing in mind you need to conserve your health, because then you have to run into the swimming pool and deal with the Bullworth mascot there as well, where again firecrackers and your slingshot will help. Just beware, because he can charge and he will knock you into a wall, and there's only one can of cola there to replenish your health, so That's just slightly makes things slightly more difficult, but not overly so. The asylum mission's relatively straightforward, but I would advise doing this earlier in the day if possible, because if you are spotted, you'll have to go right back to the outside of the asylum again, climb the tree, avoid the guards, all the rest of it. So the earlier in the day you tackle this mission, the better. You'll find it a lot easier when you haven't got to worry about the time limit, or maybe passing out at some point because you've taken too long. So the last mission is to dress up as the mascot, and to be honest, there isn't really a difficult part to this mission. All you have to do is make sure you do the cow dances perfectly when it prompts you to do it. And that's exactly the same as it was with doing the chemistry lessons earlier on in the game, but in fact much easier, because you don't need to use all the buttons. You only use the 4 buttons for any of the actions, so it's actually easier than that. And that makes this bit pretty straightforward. You just have to remember to keep doing the dance. And the last bit is reasonably simple as well. Just avoid the balls and throw them back at where the arrows point. You can also throw them back at any of the other jocks that are causing you problems, and it will take them out in one hit. So as long as you keep your wits about you, this shouldn't be too difficult. It shouldn't even be a problem. Just beware that if a ball lies on the ground too long, it will explode. So if it's been sitting there for more than 5 seconds, don't go near it. Just pick up the ones that he throws as soon as you can and throw them back. And there you are, end of chapter 4. Nice and easy, really. So chapter 5 then, and we've got a new area opened up, the Blue Sky Industrial Area. Now the very, very first thing you definitely want to do is go and do the 3rd go-kart street race that's turned up, because then you'll be able to use the go-kart at any point. Obviously, if you win the race, which you definitely will do, because it's pretty easy. And that's it, that's all you have to do now to get the go-kart, provided you've done the previous races, of course, which you should have done by now. So I would advise doing the rats in the library mission before you do the Gym is Burning mission, purely because if you do the Gym is Burning mission first, you can't do the rats in the library mission until after you've completed the game. So get it out of the way now and you won't have to do it later, and you get a nice rat trophy for your room. So after the Gym is Burning mission, you'll get you'll have to do another asylum mission, unfortunately. So again, the general rule with this is do it as early in the day as you possibly can. That way you've got much more time, because these missions actually do take quite a while, because they're stealthy type missions. Then after that you'll be able to earn a new stronghold. This one's nice and simple, you don't need to win at any arcade games. You can just beat up some townies and win their stronghold. The little red star on the map will show you where it is. And it's no more interesting than any of the other strongholds, to be honest. After that you'll be able to perform the Zoe threads of missions. And these are basically, the first one is you have to set up the PE teacher to go into a porta potty and push him off a ledge, so that's really funny. And the next one is you have to go in a warehouse and smash stuff up. Now it's the same warehouse that you should have done the snap the pictures of people putting the rats into boxes. And you may notice when you did that there was loads of tombstones sitting there. This is where the tombstones are from chapter 1, if you missed any of them. Now, I didn't miss any of them, so I didn't have any to get, but because they count as part of the score in this mission, it may be an advantage to have them there, because it could build your score up a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. And this is actually quite a difficult one to do, because Zoe is much better at smashing stuff, it seems, than you are, so you really have to be quick. And my advice is do the upper floor first before you do the bottom floor. So everything's gone tits up at the school, and you have to go and find Russell, and then break into a factory, and then beat up the leader of the Townies, which is no mean feat. And so basically Zoe will tell you what to do to get into the factory. Once you're in there, it's quite a lot of climbing down and quite a lot of balancing, so there's a bit of a slow area, and then you get to meet Edgar for the first fight, which is pretty straightforward. You just use the shields off the walls to stop yourself getting hit by his pipe, and then beat him up once you've shielded yourself. And the second part, just grab a pipe off the wall yourself and just keep battering him with it, and hopefully if you're quick enough he won't have time to react and hit you, so it should be pretty straightforward. But there is no health replenishment, so make sure you go in with a full health bar, and if you did the smash it up mission successfully with Zoe, then you should have earned a kiss and got the double health anyway before doing this mission. So that should make things a bit more easy. Right, so now you've got to rescue Russell, and this is pretty straightforward. All you've got to do is run fast by the police, meet up with Russell, and then run fast in the other direction. I don't know, it's not a lot of trouble, this mission. I don't even know really why it's there, because it's so straightforward, it's unbelievable. So this one's pretty easy. Get back to the school, beat up the leader of every clique, as you've done many times in the past, and then basically chase Gary up the side of the building and beat him up as well. He'll start to throw bricks at you as you're doing the balancing beams, and the best way to avoid them is to sort of just jump out of the way. And then he'll start pushing stuff down the ladders. Now either go left or right as he pushes stuff down, and that's it. You should be able to get through this bit with almost full health, but you won't really need it, because once you actually catch up with Gary, he is a bit of a weakling. So nice and simple there. So beat up Gary, a nice deal with the headmaster, and there you go, there's your end credits. So now we've got the Endless Summer chapter, chapter 6, and this is where you can get everything done to get 100% that you didn't do before. So what does this mean? It means you have to buy every item of clothing, first of all, so that's everything from every shop, unless you found it out of a locker. That means everything from the carnival gift shop, so this probably means doing the hammer game another 40 or 50 times to get enough tickets to afford everything. So yeah, it's a pain. You also have to unlock every item of winnable clothing. So this means you need stuff like the dunce hat, which you get from failing 5 classes in a row. Now, in Chapter 6, you can no longer do the photography class, and you can no longer do the gym class. But the other 4 you can, so just go and fail them 5 times to get the dunce hat. The prison uniform you can only get by doing 3 times of the snow detention and 3 times of the lawn mowing detention, which is why I can't now get it, because I forgot to do the snow one on this playthrough. What else is there? There's a gnome outfit for smashing all the gnomes in New Billworth Vale. So you have to smash all the gnomes around there. Some of them are easy to see, some of them aren't. You'll just have to check every garden. You get something else for finding all the Grottos and Gremlins cards. You get something else for finding all the elastic bands. But basically you need every item of clothing in the game, and that gives you the gold suit, which is the last item of clothing. So when you get the gold suit, you'll know you've done that, which, like I say, I can't now get. The other thing that is an item of clothing that you'll need to get is the black ninja suit. Now how you get that is by filling up the yearbook. So basically there are 7 students in every clique, which you need a picture of every single one of them. You get Gary and Petey and people like that automatically, and obviously yourself automatically. But you also need to get the students that aren't in a clique. Now, there are 8 of them. I think there's 8 of them. And so there are 4 sort of children, little children-sized ones, and 4 taller ones, I suppose you'd call them. Sort of teenage ones that you can get, and you have to get all of them. Basically, just fill the yearbook. The one people find most difficult is Biff, I think it is, and he can only be found. He can't be found at school. He can only be found in the boxing gym, the Preppies boxing gym, and he's the one that's actually on the punch bag all the time. But you need to get a photo of him. Also, there's a final bike race starting at the school near where the bullies congregate by the garages that you need to do in order to get the BMX helmet, so do that as well. But other than that, that's it for Chapter 5 really. It's just for sort of cleaning up and doing the things that you didn't manage to do during the game. But for 100% you have to do every mission, find every item of clothing, you have to have caused so many food fights, you need to get high scores on all the arcade games. It's basically more hassle than it's worth, because I don't think you actually get anything for 100% completion, as far as I know. I don't, even on the PlayStation 3, the game doesn't come with trophies or anything like that. That might be a different story on the Xbox One. I haven't played it, but certainly on the PlayStation 3 you don't get like a platinum trophy or something like that, so it's up to you whether you want to do that. But then sometimes in these sorts of games it is just fun to go around causing mayhem while driving around in your go-kart. So it's up to you. But that's it. That's my this is my little mini guide on Bully, and it is a fun game. It's probably well worth the £8 to play it from the PSN. It's more than worth the £4 to play it on the Wii or the PlayStation 2 version. Whether I would pay the £20-25 for an Xbox 360 version, I don't think it's worth that, but it's a lot of fun anyway, and it's well worth playing. So yeah, that's it. That's my little review. Now, you know the usual drill, sort of comments, questions, Twitter, all the rest of it. It's all there for you to use, and next time I do one of these, then I'll see you then.